I am with one of my favorite human beings on the planet. This is Jessica Osterday, and she is a brilliant love coach, and she's a trauma informed life coach. What does that mean?
Scott, I'm so excited to be here today, and it's so lovely to be here on the Awakening World. And a trauma-informed life coach is, well, basically, I come from the perspective that, we each have a past, shockingly. We each have disturbing experiences or unintegrated or uncomfortable memories from the past. And they often inform how we show up in the present moment. So when we talk about being trauma informed, I come from a position of deep compassion and empathy, while also directly meeting those trauma moments of the past in order to create integration so that they don't run our present stories.
Beautiful. And then where does brain spotting come in?
So, brain spotting is a deep love of my life. It's It's a way to access the trauma through the midbrain, which basically sits at the top of the brainstem. So when we have trauma, what happens is that all of this like amazing higher function that we use to do tasks and keep track of life and act as our adult selves when we are not triggered. A lot of this energy goes down when we get triggered into the survival mechanism, and that lies in the brainstem. That reactivity, that response is a part of our survival tactics, right? So a lot of our energy gets diverted down. And when we have a traumatic experience or a disturbing experience, often it will it will be separate because it happens when we're triggered and not so much in our conscious mind. It will sort of be stored in the brain out, outside of the hippocampus, which adds context and meaning, and our conscious self, or adult mind, so to speak. And so, what we do with brain spotting is we actually can directly access those trauma stories in a different way using the visual cortex. So, what we say is where we look affects how we feel. And we use that in order to create healing at a really deep somatic level. So, there's a real integration that happens. Um, and it's really magical and profound what happens for people because we can draw in uh, internal resources that we already are. So things like our true selves or our spirituality, and neurobiologically wrap these difficult places so that they can complete the cycle and allow us to be more in the present.
So, as to be honest for my audience, I've actually worked with Jessica personally. Not only did I train her as a love coach, but I've actually gone to her for support, and her work is remarkable. I'd love for you, Jessica, to share with us maybe one or two success stories. You don't have to name names, but people that came to you with describe the issue, and when they were done, where were they at?
Yeah. So typically people come to me with anxiety. So I work a lot with well, because there's a lot of sexual dysfunction, unfortunately, in our society. I do a lot of sexual assault work. And so people come in with this feeling of maybe hypervigilance, which basically means there's a low grade anxiety underneath everything that we do. It's more difficult to relax, it's more difficult to feel replenished. There's always a sense of sort of this feeling that something could go wrong at any moment. And so I'm thinking in particular about one case where someone came to me for narcissistic abuse and also sexual assault trauma. And it's been really remarkable the way, because what happens is while we're clearing out space through doing this deep, intense work, we're creating a really safe place to do that in, and people are building their internal strength, internal confidence, internal self love, self compassion simultaneously. And so as we get stronger, we're able to process more. And what happens is that we get to let go. Well, for her, she got to let go of a lot of the hypervigilance and is very, very differently present in her life. And so it comes through in small ways, typically in the beginning. And then over time, it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe, like, I can remember her coming to me and being like, I just asked her a raise. It's like these little things that we don't think. Whereas before, she would have had all of the story about why she shouldn't and would have held back and been quiet. She just did it. So, and I think that that's really the benefit of doing deep work, is it comes from such a true deep place when we heal it, that our actions come out of us in alignment with that deep truth.
Beautiful. And thank you for the remarkable work that you do. And
Oh.
I know how compassionate you are, but I guess I'd love to ask you, for our audience to know, how do you incorporate empathy and compassion, some of maybe what you learned with Love Coach Academy, into your work?
Yeah, I mean, tremendous stuff, right? Because okay, so this is like one of my favorite things. Basically, there's this point, and for everybody, it looks a little bit different, where, we always hear this pop psych idea of reparenting, right? Like, and okay, it's a great idea. It's awesome. Like, I'm not knocking it in any way, shape, or form. But if we actually don't know what self compassion is, like to have our own backs, because often that was not modeled when we were younger, and it is not a part of our internal dialogue, right? So, what I perceive to be internal mothering or internal parenting is starting to have self compassion with that internal voice. And so I think that that's how, of course, as the practitioner, I'm helping to create a space where I'm the freaking cheerleader. I will mama bear for you and fight for your best good, because I know I can see people's true selves. Like, I know what's there for them. I know what's on the other side, and I will, like, show up. But there's also that way of holding a really strong, compassionate frame for people, because in that sense, I'm starting to mirror what's possible for their internal voice. And there's that cheerleader and also that compassion. So it's just that, like, that empathy that we start to embody in our own beings as we move through and move forward.
And I want to say you really are truly a compassionate cheerleader. You really are. It's
Thank
so,
you.
I always felt so safe coming to you. So,
Oh, thanks, Scott.
uh, it's interesting because, of course, we're doing this on Zoom as opposed to live. Um, what's it like for you working with your clients on Zoom and dealing
Yeah.
with such tender work? Yeah?
Oh my gosh. I get this question all of the time. And yeah, to be quite honest, when the pandemic first started, I was a little bit skeptical as well. I wasn't sure how it was going to work. But there's a couple of things. So there are certain situations where it is better to be in person, and certain attachment things, right? And if a client's not moving for a long time, then, which is very rare, I will figure out a way to do it in person. But largely, I find that people feel safe when people feel safe in their own homes. It's just easier. They have that added benefit of being in a familiar place and having the safety around them and having their dog there or their animal there, which can be so incredible for deep work. And it's kind of like here, like, as I'm speaking to you, you can feel my energy coming through. Like, I'm not stopping just here in my space just as much as Scott. I can feel your love and your I can feel you being present with me as I'm present with you. And so I think that comes through regardless with Zoom, you know. And Scott, you know what? I've lost sound on you here.
That's because I was muted. Um,
That explains it, yeah.
yeah, there's this thing you have to unmute yourself. I should know by now. Yeah, I was saying that when I worked with you, I really appreciated being able to just literally roll over and go to sleep afterwards. Not having to
It
get in
is
the car
nice.
and drive. You know, and
Yeah.
yes, I would be cuddled. Everybody knows about Scott and his dogs. My dogs are famous, and this is the weekend that RelationFlix is launching.
Yes.
And of course, you're a love coach. You're now a RelationFlix coach. And tell me about what that means to you. Tell me about any excitement, enthusiasm about being part of RelationFlix.
To be honest, I feel my I am so honored to be teaching with the other teachers on that platform, and I've just been blown away by the energy. And every time I talk to Dolphin and Steven, I'm like, you guys are so amazing. Like their the their level of aptitude and mastery in communication and compassion with themselves, the team, and I'm imagining many people in their lives benefit from this, blow me away. So I've just been really sort of in witness to that beauty unfolding and just really honored to be a part of such an incredible group of teachers. I mean, people, I just really I really respect so many people on the platform. I'm a little bit like, wow. That's my honest truth. Yeah.
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 Well, it's
And I'm
okay to be a little bit
excited.
starstruck. It's
I
okay.
mean, it's
Because we're
great.
starstruck with you too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, thank you. That's so sweet.
All right. Well, while
Yeah.
this is playing, you are in Kauai. So,
Yes.
uh, sending you much love and aloha. And thanks for taking some time to join us tonight, Jessica.
Oh,
And I'll
thank
show
you so
everybody how they
much.
can reach you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's just a true pleasure to be here.
Cool.